shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra. Fuck with me, you know that I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip to the islands. We up on the jet, we'll do more than just fly on it. Stand on that hill, you gon' die on it. Boom, boom. Baby, I'm not one of them, you should try on it. Miss me with all that, I'm on it and next. Fuck this up, I send you back to your ex, but go.
1, 2, 1, 2, coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. 1, 2, 1, 2, coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit, you know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. And shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP the Ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah.
Hey. Yeah. Let's see how you do under pressure. Oh.
Whoops.
Nobody panic. Everything's under control. Okay, I'm Eric Van Johnson. You're listening to the PHPUgly podcast. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Glad you're here. Happy to see you. Hope you return. This is a podcast that focuses on the PHP programming language, the PHP community, and our company, PHP Architect. With me, as always, my friend, John Congdon.
And you're listening to episode 373, since that was missed.
Episode 373, which is made a little better thanks to some sponsorship from honeybadge.io, a long-time sponsor, I might add, and some great Patreon supporters, some great supporters on Patreon, including a new one. And yeah, if you want to be part of this fantastic show, which, believe me, next week you will want to be part of this fantastic show as we live stream. You want to pop over to our Discord at discord.phpugly.com. You participate in the show, you make title suggestions, and you can hang around all week long. Great group of people in there talking PHP, talking EU, talking all sorts of cool things. So yeah, do that.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. I'm like, I know there's a lower third thing somewhere for Discord.
Well, yeah, lower thirds. We gotta do that, man. Do that more often.
Be better about it, yeah.
So who we got in there? Jeffrey?
Yep.
Hey, Jeffrey, welcome to the show. Hey, Barcelona.
Man, this earlier time frame is weird.
Whose idea was this, for crying out loud? I don't even think Buttery's up yet. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning for Buttery Crumpet, but everybody else is pretty happy with it. We got it's 8 o'clock for London right now. We got a couple people over in the UK and the EU area, which again we're going to talk more about in the show. And
so it's actually about that we had to record earlier today, huh?
Yeah, Germany. There we go. What's up, Germany? Yeah, all sorts of. I think it works out better for everybody but us, because I still got work to do.
I know and I have work to do because I just got back from a little vacation. So I got in and got a lot of stuff done this morning. Now we're taking a break to record. And then the reason we're recording early is I'm hoping I have baseball practice with my kid later this afternoon, which is probably going to be canceled because the fields are all wet.
Oh, it was just practice? I thought it was a game, man.
No,
Huh.
still, half our practices have been canceled so far because of rain. So, trying to get them in. Games don't start until March.
Oh, wow, you guys got a lot of practice then.
A lot of practice. It was
Let's
a
talk.
month.
Let's talk about your little vacation because you shared some insight with us on
Oh,
Slack.
I didn't share that in Discord.
That's what
Yes,
I'm saying.
my family and I, we were supposed to go camping in Borrego Springs, basically the desert here in San Diego. And we had these plans for a while. We've been wanting to go there for quite a long time. Scheduled it and then found out it's going to rain. And I don't know about you, but camping in the rain does not sound like fun at all. So we decided we're going to go to
Camping
this.
doesn't sound like fun to me. I'm not a camper. I'm not a camping guy.
Camping's fun, especially with the kids. So we decided we were going to go to the snow, and we went up to Big Bear for a few days and got up there on Sunday. And we decided before we go to the house, the Airbnb we rented, there is a stop about 25 minutes outside of Big Bear called Green Valley. And it is an old ski resort that has been shut down. And basically people just go there to sled. So we get there, I unload everything, and then I drive my car down the hill to park it, and I walk back up.
Oh, so this I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
So in the Big Bear area, there are little places you can go sledding that's like skiing. They have a lift and they have tubes. This wasn't any of that. This was just like a sledding in the wild sort of situation.
Pretty much, yeah.
Huh, okay.
So we get annoyed when we're heading up and there's people parked on the side of the road where it clearly says private property, no parking. And they park there anyway. On the way up the mountain, you're seeing people sledding down the side straight towards the highway. You're like, what is wrong with you, right? Anyway, we found this place that, again, was an old ski resort, and it is now used for sledding. You don't have to pay or anything. It's just off the beaten path, and you can go sledding there. The snow was thick. Like, there were times where I stepped down and I was up to my waist, like in the snow. We're trudging through. We get up and did a couple of sled runs. My kid let go of his sled at one point, and we're like, Nolan, you have to go get that. So he goes down to get the sled, and a few minutes later, and we're like, where's Nolan at? So I kind of sled down to where he's supposed to be at. I get to the edge because it ended up in this ditch, and I'm like looking around, like, so I call him, like, Nolan, where are you at? He was literally right below me, looking up at me, laughing. Tripped and fell, and he's just kind of laying on his side, like on this tree, just laughing, saying, I'm like, why didn't you call? He goes, I was too uncomfortable and I couldn't. He keeps telling everyone he took a nap at that point.
So did he break anything? Did he end up on crutches?
He did not.
No. Okay, that's good.
Luckily.
Nobody got hurt. Yeah.
So we finally crawl back up to the hill, and we find another, like, a really nice steep hill for sledding fast, and we get a few runs in, and then I say to my older son, I'm like, Grayson, let's go do one more. Okay, so we go up and we go a little bit higher, and when you're sitting with a kid in front of you, your legs are a little splayed, and I didn't tuck them in front of him into the sled, so we're flying down this hill and we're hitting these bumps, and all of a sudden my left heel caught the snow, and I just felt my leg just snap open and backwards, and then all of a sudden we just do this like 360, and I'm laying in the snow. I'm like, oh, that's not good. And my son's like, what's wrong? I'm like, that hurt bad. I'm like, feeling around, like, okay, it's not broken, everything's okay. We get back on the sled to get further down. We tumble again, but everything's fine. finally get to the bottom. And again, this was the last run, so we're done. And I kind of feel like I'm hobbling down back to the car, but I'm fine. I'm able to walk, nothing broken. That night, oh my God, I was in so much pain. I couldn't sleep. Ended up going to urgent care. Did the x-rays, nothing broken. We're all good, but I did end up with a leg brace and crutches.
Can I share the picture?
Of course. I'm fine with that.
Didn't want to share the picture.
I
This is the picture I got on like his first official day of vacation. And I'm like, yeah, that's great.
very first day, and then yeah, I'm on crutches. Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't bad. I'm pretty much like I still have soreness in my hip, but I'm not on the crutches anymore.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's impressive. Like most people hurt themselves actually skiing. You managed to do it like sitting on your ass sledding. You managed to hurt. That's impressive, man. You give us all of us couch potatoes like hope and incentive that we might get like an athletic injury someday by not working hard. Good job.
I did want to tell people I was on a black diamond and this kid ran out in front of me and I tumbled
going down these double diamonds and this tree jumped out.
Nope. I just am not flexible and caught a little bit of ice.
You're old. Old is another key element to this story. Yeah.
Not flexible. So as soon as my leg went that way, I was like, "Oh, that hurt."
Hey, you got back up. I probably would have just been like, "Yeah, no, shoot me. I'm no use to you anymore. Just end it all."
I'm not going anywhere. No, my kids had a blast though. They had so much fun. When while I'm in urgent care, they went tubing. Like you said, one of those places where you ride the magic carpet up the hill, and they were doing some tubing down. Came back, got me. I went back and watched them for the afternoon. And we talked about it last week. It's ski week in San Diego, so like a lot of the families are up in Big Bear. And we met up with some of the kids' friends. We went bowling on Tuesday because it was raining and just not nice. Did that for a couple hours and then went back to, they had a nice house with, pool table, a little arcade game, and they had snow in their front yard. So the kids went out and had a snowball fight and just continued having fun. It was good, but happy to be home.
Cool.
How's your week been?
Went all right. I got my solar put in last week finally. It amazes me how fast those people work. They even said they're like, this is a fairly big install. They were supposed to, they had only scheduled one day to do it. And they're like, we can get most of them done in a day, but we're probably gonna have to come back tomorrow and finish. I'm like, yeah, I don't care, man. Like, you can't use it. Like you still, even though it's all installed and they got the whole thing installed in like a couple of days, you can't use it until the utility company comes out and kind of gives it its blessing. And they're in no hurry to do that because it just, less money for them. So now I'm just like, I got this big ass solar system on my house and can't do anything with it. It's so like, I even have like the batteries, so I like keep going back there and like just petting my batteries, like soon, baby.
I know you shared the pictures of it. I'm definitely jealous.
Yeah. I got two batteries, which the guy is like, he's like, wow, I can't believe we're putting two batteries on your house. And I am very fortunate. Like I have a pool. I think the pool is what put me over the limit for like the one battery. But yeah, I'm excited.
Because you have to have your pool when you don't have power.
Yeah, exactly.
You realize you could just turn that equipment off for the potential couple hours that you don't have power.
The house is always going to run on battery until the battery runs out. Like it's the idea is there's enough battery to power the house moving forward. So that's kind of the theory here. We'll see if it actually happens. Like it never turns out that way, but we'll see how it does. I'm curious to see how well it does.
Now the question is it actually charging the batteries now while you're waiting for the inspection?
That's a great question. That was my question. No, it is not charging the batteries. The system has to be completely shut off until the utility company kind of signs off on it. And I even called my guy over the solar place. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get that. But like, let's just say, like, what buttons would I hit to turn it on if I wanted to turn it on? Just what buttons?
After the inspection, I need to know how to turn it on and off. What would I do?
Exactly. It's like, which ones do I hit here? You wouldn't tell me.
You're like, this is my system. Tell me how it works.
I know. I'm excited. I'm hoping it's worth it. I've had solar in the past, in my previous house, but I had bought that solar. Like I paid for it outright.
Mhm.
And it was no batteries. It just fed into the house, and then whatever we weren't using fed back to the city. And in theory, the city was supposed to be giving me credit for all that, but there was no way to at least for me, the system I had, there was no metering on that. Like I could not say, "Oh, hey, city, you owe me this much money." I just
send them an invoice, see what happens.
Yeah, I just had to be thankful they give me whatever. This new system allows for that, but I was going somewhere with that. I forget where I was going with that.
Well, while you're thinking about that, if you're listening now, keep paying attention because pretty soon we're going to talk about how you can win a ticket to PHP Tech.
What?
Just go throw that out there.
Why don't we talk about that now? We can talk about that. I forgot
because I'm not ready for it.
We're not ready. We're not ready to talk about how we're giving away free tickets to Tech.
I had some event sourcing fun this morning. I'll talk about that first.
Let's do that.
Not really fun. So we use event sourcing in a bunch of different ways, and one of the ways is around phone calls, like when a call is created, when a call is routed, just different pieces of it when the call is ended. And we've had an issue where I got a bunch of records, a bunch of projections in my database where the calls just never ended, and trying to figure out why. And it's frustrating as all get out. And there's been multiple times over the past year where it's like, oh, I finally figured it out. And then it used to be like a couple thousand a day. Now I went back and I'm looked over this month and we're at anywhere from 30 to 100 calls a day are in that state. I'm like, why is this? So finally found in the PBX code that I mainly maintain. There's a couple of us that can get in there. And there's this one race condition where if you call and we make the API request and get the response, but before we process it, you hang up. It's a very specific race condition. So I think I solved for that, but at the same time, I want to go fix all the past calls, right? So I'm in there writing a new CLI command to start processing that data, adding events to the chain to say, nope, this call's ended, and update the projection, make my data pretty, please. Because it's annoying when it just doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Just out of date.
Yeah. Well, you should have taken the PHP architect consulting developer approach and just drop the whole database and just start fresh. We won't revisit that particular moment in time, but that was a fun day.
Yes, it was.
I think I've asked you this in the past. I have my event sourcing app, which is kind of on the back burner now. It's a client decision. They have us working on other things, but I had everything is contained, on the same database. I forget. Are you doing the same thing? Or are you taking advantage of one of those event sourcing data stores?
Well, I am doing the same thing, using MySQL to store the event stream as well. Just don't feel like I'm using enough events where it matters currently. We just haven't gone down that road of having yet another thing to maintain.
Right.
Was pretty much the reason at this point. It was like,
have you looked into them at all? Do you understand what it brings to the table?
I don't. I've looked into
Okay.
them. I've never actually installed them.
Hmm.
When I first started looking at event sourcing a few years ago, it was like Kafka and Event Store DB and a couple others. And then I kept watching videos, and then all of a sudden, Kafka's not the right solution, even though people still use it
Yeah,
for that.
I heard
it's,
that too. Yeah.
it's like for the way we use it, MySQL data stores just fine. I think it's just more performant in a database that is meant purely for event sourcing.
Hmm.
But I haven't gone down that road. And
Gotcha. That's fair.
then had some Salesforce fun. Salesforce documentation sucks. I've been,
It's tough, man. It's tough.
and it doesn't help that I was given an account and saying integrate with this connected app, but it turns out it is a special sandbox account, and I didn't see anything in the documentation that says, "Hey, if you're going to authenticate against test.salesforce.com instead of login.salesforce.com." And
You
I'm
think
on
that'd
the
be a little bit of an important piece of information?
I I'm like even just trying to find that it's supposed to be login.salesforce.com took me forever. It's not like super clear. And I'm on the phone with it's a third party uh company, and I'm on the phone with them for like 30 minutes, and we're like, well, why don't we just start with a brand new connected app? I'm like, okay, so we go through the entire thing of configuring it, and I'm still getting the same error. And then finally someone says, what if you try this? Change the domain and it worked. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I've wasted
Really?
I've wasted so many hours on that. Like, try it. I'm like, trying all the different versions of the username and password, and then I go back to the documentation. I tried using ChatGPT, like, what does this error mean, or how do I authenticate with Salesforce?
Hmm.
Following all the directions, and nothing ever said, oh, try this. Is it a sandbox account? Try this domain. Sure enough, it worked.
All right. Okay, let's take a moment. Let's get a word from a sponsor, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about some PHP tech stuff. We'll talk about some happenings over the EU and all the other fun things. So hang out, and we'll be right back.
Thanks to our friends at honeybadger.io for sponsoring this podcast. Monitoring, like web development, can be complicated. There are tons of tools and techniques, but you just want to know that your app is up and that your customers are happy. When your customers encounter a problem, you need clear, actionable intelligence, not walls of charts and reams of logs to tail. That's why they built Honeybadger, the monitoring tool we always wanted. A tool that's there when you need it and gets out of your way when you don't, so that you can keep shipping code, know when critical errors occur, and which customers are affected. Respond instantly when your systems go down. Improve the health of your systems over time and fix problems before your customers can report them. Honeybadger is the application health monitoring tool built for you, the developer who cares about a quality product and happy customers. Be the hero of your team and sign up for a free trial and start monitoring today at honeybadger.io. Setup takes as little as 5 minutes. See what you've been missing and fix it. Once again, that's www.honeybadger.io.
Thank you,
Thank
Honeybadger.
you, Honeybadger.
I'm actually coding. I'm doing some debugging. I had to run the PHPUgly bot in our Discord. I had to run it on my laptop because I had shut down my Pop! OS machine. Well, our solar people were nice enough to shut down my Pop! OS machine when they shut down all the power to the house. And as the show was starting, I realized, I'm like, oh crap, I don't have it started up. I have all that encryption, so like it's not just a matter of hitting the button. I've got to like log into things. So it seems like title suggestions are working in Discord. If you want to leave a title suggestion, just do bang title space whatever the suggestion is. In theory, it should be writing to a file. I just don't know which file it's writing to anymore because this is the older version of the bot. And I'll be honest with you, mistakes were made. So I'll have to figure that out. But it
If
does seem
all-
to be working.
If only there was a technology where you can put all your changes in one place and then kind of push them somewhere else so that they're there.
Yeah. It's like it's a one file bot. I'm like, it's just one file. Like, I don't really need a version control of that, do I?
Well, if we did version control, it could be you push it up and then it auto restarts on whatever server we're running instead of a home machine.
Yeah, that's something else I need to do.
One of
Stop
these
calling out all
days.
my shortcomings, John. Let's talk about your crutches again.
Let's talk about tech.
Let's talk about tech, baby.
60 days away. All of 2 months away.
So I made a bunch of changes to the PHP Tech website, or PHPTech.tv website. So the cool thing about there's most of the changes nobody's going to see. It's most of it is all back end stuff. But the one thing that is kind of cool to the end user is moving forward now. If you buy a ticket to Tech, first off, we have virtual passes on sale now. So you can actually buy just a virtual pass, which will be the stream that shows up on phptech.tv. But if you buy a regular pass, you also will get access to phptech.tv. We say that because once you get access, you will have you can go back and look at last year's. So you can actually start looking at last year's talks and just see what's in store for you this year. And then of course, when this year goes live and when we start live streaming this year, that will be available to you. So that's there. I need to backfill. So if you already have a ticket, I need to backfill those accounts into phptech.tv because we didn't update the webhook in time. So I will probably get that done this week if you don't already have access to phptech.tv. But yeah,
We need to work on that. Make those background images a little lighter or something.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think a lot of people are going to hit this site. I wasn't really worried about it, but yeah, I was. This was actually me just wanting to see how cool I could get with Tailwind and like making these like sideways, boxes and stuff, and just trying to do something different in Tailwind. This I'm not going to say this took me all weekend to do, but it might have taken me a while to figure that one out. So and then this is something else I fixed. Like I have it doing all this math now, trying to figure out how many sponsors we have so that it lays out evenly or as evenly as possible. So since we only have 4 in here right now, it's a nice 2 and 2. Obviously I need to add the new ones in here as well, and it should continue to kind of try to display these so that they lay out evenly. We'll see how well that holds up. I dare listen, you want to test my coding skills? I dare you. I dare you to sponsor Tech this year and make me put your logo on that site. Go ahead. Try me. See how well my code is. I bet you it handles it. 60 days, John. 60 days.
Yep.
That is horrifying. That's like 2 months, John.
It is. Which means 50 something for us because we got to get out there early and set up and all that.
Yep.
Man. All right. Well, let's talk about the sponsors. We added a new sponsor to.
We do have sponsors over here, don't? Yeah, we do. Look at that, Sensios Labs. Oh, I forgot yours is different. That's something I did differently on PHP Tech TV. But yeah. Sensios Lab.
Sensio Labs, creators of the Symphony framework, came on board as a bronze sponsor. So thank you very much.
Yeah. I mean, Symphony framework, and you guys have your own conference that millions of people attend. Figure you could go a little higher than bronze, but hey, man, you do you. We do appreciate it. Just a little more love would have been nice. But hey, we appreciate what you did. Thank you very much.
You're terrible.
I try.
You're terrible.
Yeah, I don't know why you do business with me. So how if I wanted to go to PHP Tech, how could I do that and not pay for it? Tell me, John.
Well, hopefully you get your company to pay for it, and then you're not paying for it. That works. We do have a couple of tickets that were donated to be given away, and we're going to give away one next week live on the show. So if you're listening to the audio podcast after this, next week you're going to want to be live and ready to go when we start. We will start giving out.
It's not going to be as easy as you think. You don't just listen and we're going to see who's listening and then give you a ticket. No, you're going to have to work for it. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the plan. Next Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific. Because I don't have baseball
exactly what you have to do to get it, we're not going to disclose yet. But if you're a Big Bang watcher, you may want to grab a bowling ball. I'm just saying it doesn't hurt to be prepared. Just grab a bowling ball.
I don't get the reference, but
if anybody gets that reference, I won't give you a free ticket. I'm sorry, but it'd be cool if you let me know.
I'm missing something.
You gotta watch Big Bang Theory, man. I keep telling you, it's a great show.
I've watched every episode. I'm
oh, have you?
Yeah, I just don't remember
maybe it's
that
just
reference.
Me and the current wife who have watched it like 17 times. I don't even think I'm exaggerating. It's played on repeat in our household since we were at our old house, because our old dog, as he was, in his final stages, that was like one of his soothing things. We'd have Big Bang playing in the office. He stayed in the office with me, and as long as Big Bang was playing, he was happy. And I think as a result of that, we just kind of held on to that show as like a really special show to us, and just kind of keep playing it.
For me, that's Brooklyn Nine-Nine. When I was when my kid was born, I sat up all night and just binged Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Mm-hmm. Jeffrey, you got it, baby. Way to go. Jeffrey knows what I'm talking about. Good man. Okay, so yeah, PHP Tech free ticket. You have to participate live on the stream. It's just when will the stream be next week? Like, how hard is this going to be for some people?
Were you not just listening 2 minutes ago?
No, it totally wasn't.
as of right now, 3:00 Pacific next week. I don't have baseball practice if we're going back to that time.
Okay. So are we going to be bouncing around between noon and 3 all season long?
I don't think so. I really don't know.
Okay.
I don't have. We're supposed to start games here in like 2 weeks, and there's still no schedule. They gave us our practice schedule through February and some practices in April prior to playoffs, but
no
for
games
March.
between.
I feel bad for the scheduler because he's only got a limited number of fields to put us on, but he's got to share them with other organizations, not just Little League.
Yeah.
And the other divisions take priority because they're older kids, I guess.
I'm pretty sure you know this about me, but I played adult league baseball here in Southern California. It was one of the things that kept me in Southern California. Like, the idea of playing baseball year round, I just couldn't pass up. And so fortunately I got on the baseball team that played, all year. And at one point, so there's a whole adult league here. There's actually a couple adult leagues here in Southern California. And at one point, the current wife was one of the administrators of the league, which sounds like fun, but it was like such a nightmare. Like all weekend long. All weekend long. That's all she did was put out fires, run bases to this field, unlock that field, let the teams know that they forgot to turn the sprinklers off on this other field, and we got to move you to another field. And it was just like at 6:00 in the morning, Saturday morning, our phone. This is back in the day when you had a landline. Like most people still had landlines, and the phone to the house just started ringing at 6:00 in the morning. Just basically rang all weekend. And but she did it. She was actually great at that job, and I think she enjoyed it. But yeah, it was funny. It made for some funny scenarios where people didn't realize she was my wife, and she'd show up at a game I was at or something, and it was always this interesting thing. We won't talk about that on the show. I'll share that with you some other time. But yeah, I'm excited. Baseball season starting here in the U.S. I don't stop watching baseball. The Australian Baseball League has been going on through the winter, but now we get to real baseball, like real baseball. So college is already playing. I've been watching a couple of college games, but I'm not a big college. I can't stand the ting. The ting of the aluminum bats just sends something down my spine. I hate the sound of it. Even I played. Well, it was aluminum bats for the first few years, but the last like 5 seasons I played, it was wooden bats. We only played with wooden bats, so I love that. I love the wooden bats. Okay, talking too much about baseball. Let's move on. We're moving on from baseball.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, so we have a lot of listeners over in the EU and the UK and that whole general area, including an employee now over in the UK, which that has been going really well. I'm really excited how well that's working out, but there's some not exciting, kind of weird like stuff happening in the Apple world over there. Have you been following this? I know you're the Apple guy between the two of us. That's officially your title because you have the iPhone.
Because, yeah, I have not been following it until somebody in Discord shared a link, and then I started reading up on it. And I'm actually, from the little bit that I've read, frustrated that the EU is getting these changes and we're not.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing, right? Because the EU is like forcing they're the ones that like I feel have the consumer's best interests in mind, and they are forcing some pretty big names to make some changes with how they do things. And this has always been my thing, right? It's like this is another situation where Apple can clearly adhere to this because they're going to adhere to it in the EU. They're just not going to bother to do it for the rest of the world. And what we're talking mainly about is giving the consumer the right to, on the device that they own, that they purchased, the right to put software on there and run software on there and pay for things how they want to pay for things on the hardware that they own. So yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm not super familiar with all the details of it, but what it sounds like to me is the so I guess like PWAs were supposed to be treated like as first class citizens in the Apple world because that was going to become the whole thing of the rule is that consumers need to be able to install software from other alternative outlets than just whatever the company provides. So Apple has the App Store, which you've got to hand it to Apple, right? Their vetting process is very strict. You don't hear about a lot of like viruses and stuff coming through applications you buy through the App Store. And if you ever worked with Apple from the other end of that, where you're doing development and you're trying to get approval, you know that they don't rubber stamp these things. It's a pain in the ass.
It is, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So and that's always been their argument, is they're protecting their consumers. They want to make sure that their experience is safe and is good. But now consumers will have the ability to install from other solutions, as well as the other big thing, and this was one of the things that I kind of disagreed a lot with Apple. I'm not a big fan of Apple. I'm not one of these Apple haters by any means. It's very much like I feel like I'm correctly, like, I criticize them when they need to be criticized, sort of thing.
Mhm.
But like their Apple Pay, right? Like, if first thing they forced you to sell everything through their app store, and then if your application allowed people to purchase anything, they had to purchase through Apple's payment system.
Mhm.
You couldn't install Stripe or whatever other solution you wanted to install. It wasn't allowed. Your app wouldn't get approved. That's changing. So some very interesting things are happening.
I like.
As an iPhone user, how do you feel about that?
So I'm in the same boat. Uh, I like the integrations. I like some of the features that I have with the Apple device, especially since my wife has always been on an iPhone. The ecosystem is nice, but I'm not like a fanboy where it has to be that. And I will criticize where it should be. We've talked about the same thing with frameworks in the past, right? It's like
Right.
they're not everything to everyone, and using the right tools for the right thing. So I do like the ecosystem, but I don't like some of the practices that Apple has in place. Having an alternative app store, which Google has always had, right? You've always been able to have different app stores. You've been able to install applications that you just download from somebody else. And there's pros and cons to it, right? You can install viruses easier if you're just downloading random software.
Mm-hmm.
Looking through this article, Apple's reasons for limiting changes to EU. In a support document, Apple's explained why they're not available outside of the EU. I haven't read that yet, but again, it's probably going to go into we are protecting the consumer at the end of the day, which is
Right.
a bunch of crap. They're protecting their bottom line is what they're doing.
Yeah.
But like you said, you got to hand it to them. They built this entire ecosystem. Wasn't the App Store their initial creation, and then the fact that everyone calls it Apple Pay versus NFC payment or whatever.
Oh my God, dude, that drives me crazy.
When I used to have a Google Pixel or a Google phone, when they called it Apple Pay, I'm like, it's not Apple Pay. It's just
Tap to
NFC.
pay. Just call it tap to pay. Yeah,
That's
what I say all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was always my gripe. I remember having this conversation. I don't think we had the podcast at the time, but like when I've been an Android user for years. I can't even tell you the last iPhone I owned, but it's been a very, very long time. And the Android phones started coming, like pretty much all the Android phones started coming with NFC chips by default. And you could do like a couple things, like you could tap each other's phone to share contacts. It was flaky as hell. And I remember saying, it's like the ability to do tap to pay was created, but nobody had it. Like nobody was using it. And I remember thinking, I was like, God, like, why won't more people have tap to pay? And it's like, well, it's because it's not in enough phones. And then finally, Apple decides, okay, we're putting NFC chips in our phone, but we're not going to let you do anything with it. We're going to restrict what you can do with it, and we'll let you do tap to pay. And by the way, we're going to call it Apple Pay, and so is everybody else. And that's how the world's going to be.
And we're going to charge the merchants a ton of money for it.
Yeah.
I think they had to pay additional to use it.
Yeah. But it worked, right? As soon as that happened, next thing you know, everybody had Apple Pay or tap to pay. And it went crazy. I remember when I went to Vancouver, Canada to visit some friends, and it was weird for me as an American. And we have a good showing of people around the world here, so you can let us know how it is in your part of the world. This was, I don't know, like 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It's been a while now, but when I went to Vancouver, everything was tap to pay. Everything. Like if you pulled out, a cash or a credit card, they just look at you and like, no, here, just tap your phone here. And I'm like, yeah, this is what we need in the States. This is wonderful. And finally, we're kind of getting there, but it took the US a very long time to make that the norm, like just the normal thing to do.
I remember one of my phones, I don't know if it was Samsung, but way back in the day, actually tricked the magnetic reader into thinking it was a magnetic stripe. So you just held it up.
Oh, I remember
Remember
that. Yeah, it was the
So
Samsung that did that. Yeah.
so it wasn't NFC, but it just worked. And the merchants that I would ask them to do that, they'd be like, "What?" I'm like, "Just try it," and it would work. And they were like freaked out. Like, that's not right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have a weird.
that was weird. I still don't know how they did that, because that's like a physical thing. It's a physical strip that has to go through the machine.
But it's just magnets, right? So it's just mimicking as if you were doing that.
That's true. Yeah.
I have a weird issue with my tap to pay now in Vons. Like everywhere else, it works fine. But I got an Apple credit card a while back, and when you have that, that becomes your primary payment in your tap to pay, your Apple Pay.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, at the grocery store, I want to use this other card because I get a better cash back on it. And for some reason, only at Vons, when I choose the other card, it fails every single time. And
Interesting.
they can't explain it. They're like, it's just a bug in our system because it happens to other people. But if I use the Apple card, it works fine. Every other store where I switch to the other credit card, it works fine. Yeah. So there is something weird in the grocery store's system, but I for the life of me, I have no clue what it is.
That's very interesting.
I want to say Apple is doing it because they don't want you to use the card, but it only happens in that store. If it happened, everywhere else, it would be more conspiracy. Like Apple's trying to make you use their card. So every couple weeks I go and I try again. I'm like, this is gonna fail, but because
I'm gonna try it anyways.
Because then the cashier looks at it like they have to go hit a bunch of buttons to let you retry it, and then they feel like they have to apologize. And I stopped doing it at the self-checkout because then you got to wait for somebody to come over and put in their code and clear it out.
So the current wife, she's actually more, she's actually braver than I am. So I use tap to pay whenever I can for a couple of reasons. It's cool. But the biggest reason is that the receipt's like right there on your phone. I assume Apple's the same way, right? You get that like acknowledgement that the payment happened there on your phone. So I like that. And they say, "Hey, do you want a receipt?" I'm like, no, I'm good. But I always have my wallet with me that have the same credit cards inside of it. Whereas the current wife, she'll flat out go out and not even take her wallet, just be like, I got my phone. I'll just pay for things with my phone. I'm like, really? You think it's that solid, huh? You really? And to her defense, I mean, I think I've only had it fail. Like the failure rate for me is very low. Like usually in these little janky taco shops, coffee shops, it might fail, but like it's usually pretty solid. And yeah, she'll go to the grocery store and buy like $200 worth of groceries, and only thing she has to pay for it is her phone. And that would just like freak me the hell out.
There's been plenty of times where I've not taken my wallet, just I forgot it or whatever, and not had the issue. Where it frustrates me is when I go to Home Depot because they don't have tap to pay.
That's right, they don't have tap to pay.
And a couple of times I forgot my wallet. I'm like, crap! Like now I got to go home and get it, and such a pain in the ass.
So Uprul, I'm sorry, I'm killing your name there, Uprul, but says that he uses his watch. You have an Apple Watch. Have you ever paid with your watch?
Yep. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just tap to pay with the watch.
This is like a weird. So I got I got a Pixel watch that has that as well. But like, isn't like a weird movement? Like you got to do this, or can you just like? Do you have to like turn your wrist over, or do you just like put it down?
I think I've always turned it over, but just because it's right there. I only use it at the grocery store, so it's right there in front of me. I'm not like, I don't do it where I'm reaching across. If like at the bagel shop, it's always over by them. So at that point, I
Mhm.
use my phone because I'm reaching closer.
It's a little bit, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I have it. It's that whole Google thing. I shared it with you in Slack because I live my life through phparch.com. Everything I do is through that domain, including all my emails and everything. So phparch.com email system is hosted on Google, whatever it's called now, Workspace or whatever it's called. The problem with that is like there's certain things that it's a pain in the ass to try to do. And apparently having tap to pay on your watch is one of them. Like I can use tap to pay on my phone and be logged into my phparch.com account. Whatever reason, it won't accept it on the watch. Like I have this, I can probably scroll up.
You must use a free account.
I have this notification on my watch now that it's like
Yeah,
how do I do this?
can't see.
Yeah,
Can't see.
that
You
just
can't bend that way.
there's always a notification there that says, "Hey, action required," but the screen isn't big enough to tell you what action's required or where you have to go to do it. It just says action required, and it won't enable tap to pay. So I fortunately can flip it where my regular Gmail account is the primary account, and I just had to put all my tap to pay cards on that account, which I had never had them on there because I never used that account for anything. And then I could put the PHP Arch account on as a sub account because I still needed on my watch to get like messages that our family chats and stuff are through that account for me. So I had to put that on here so that I could still get it. But I have this like continuous error notification that I can't clear. It won't let me close it. It won't let me say ignore. It just is always there now. I hate it.
Constantly reminding you that you have a paid account that is limited.
That's it. That's it. God damn it. Oh man.
And
So,
now
yeah.
I'm getting the message in my mail every day of upgrade to Business Plus or whatever their new version is.
Yeah, it's like why? What else do I need? Like I don't need anything else from you. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be, totally opposed from pulling away from you. I tell you, man, I'm telling you, like we talked about it last week or the week before. We got a new clients using GitLabs. They're not hosting it. They're using GitLabs through another service provider that they're paying for other things. It's not specifically GitLabs. GitLabs is just a perk. And like the more I use it, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's what I think. I think PHP Architect should have a GitLabs. Everybody in the PHP community should use PHP Arc's GitLab to host their repos. And yeah, that's what we should do. That's what we should do. That would be awesome. And then I remember, yeah, but then I got to pay somebody to manage that, and that's going to be a pain in the ass. Because the GitLabs is verbose. There's a lot of functionality in it, and we're on like these limited accounts because, like I said, even our client, it's not like GitHub where you sign up and you get full access to your organization. This is something that is piggybacking on another company's. I assume it's like their own GitLab stuff that they use for their stuff, and they've created this organization for our client. But the issue is like our access to it is like really restricted, and anything we want to do, we have to kind of add these support tickets. So I'm like, I just can't help thinking. I'm like, yeah. We should be doing this ourselves. And of course, so I got Scale. Scale's coming up again. I think so. Scale's the Southern California Linux Expo. It's here in Pasadena, California, here in Southern California. I'm involved with the volunteer group this year, which is cool because they said I went to buy my ticket because I'm going to go. I went to buy my ticket. They're like, no. We're going to give you a volunteer ticket. You're going to have like access to everything, everywhere you can go. Like there's nothing you won't have access to. I'm like, cool, I'll take that. But this got me like going back down my whole open source heritage, man. Like I remember how much I used to love open source, and I still do. I mean, I I have I feel like I'm a bad open source person though, because like I have a company. Our company is literally built on an open source solution, right? I mean, that's my
Mm.
whole life is around stuff that was built through open source. And I feel like I try to be a good person of the community and contribute back when I can. But I remember thinking like back in the day, like way back in the day, it's like, man, if I ever had my own company, everything would be open source. Like I would not use anything unless it was open source. And then I take a step back of where we're at today. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like almost nothing we do is open source.
I mean, we do. Yes, I get what you're saying. We do pay for a lot of services because there are benefits to doing so. But we do contribute back. Some of us contribute back code. As a company, we do contribute financially, especially
the PHP
language.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
PHP Foundation and a couple of PHP packages out there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. We're hoping to release some packages ourselves soon. I'm really excited. We're really close to releasing one that basically we had Mike working on when he first came on. And we was talking to another developer, Frank, in our group. He's wanting to build another package that we would release as well. So I love that. I mean, we've kind of encouraged it with our team, but again, when the guys are in the trenches working with client work, that they be in that mindset of saying, hey, we should abstract this one function out, make it a package that other people can use, and then we'll dog food it on this project. It's just like, in theory, it seems like something simple to do, but man, when you're in the grind and you're working in client work, and it's just not.
And everything is high priority, and it's got to be done
Mhm.
yesterday.
Yeah. So we're kind of getting there. Yeah, I think the team is excited about tech this year. Hey, again, Mike, the new employee from the UK, will be joining us, so we're really happy to have him. I love tech for that. I mean, ideally, if you work for a company that's remote, an event like tech is the perfect time to bring people together. I mean, granted, we put our people to work, but it's still nice to like have everybody, to see everybody, to talk to people, to go grab a beer, to go grab some lunch. It's really nice.
Prior to running it, that's like I've met up with people I worked with and actually got stuff done. I told you there was one year where I completely rewrote a PHP 4 code base into PHP 5 because I had the inspiration, I was focused, and fixed the things I needed to fix. Other years,
we talk about it all the time, right? It's things like Fig was created at Tech or World, PHP Tech or PHP World, one of those two. Mack created his whole shift, which is like, I can't speak for sure, but I think this is like his main income now. Laravel Shift, which does upgrades to Laravel code bases, that was created at PHP World when he was like bouncing ideas off Taylor and came up with this idea of, oh, well, why don't I just create a service that would upgrade Laravel installs? I mean, just it's so much.
and now he slips Taylor $50 to change it every year. Like, hey, can you make a freaking change?
Yeah, just a couple breaks, not too hard. I don't do too much coding, but let me know what they are. All right, we actually need to thank some other people. We need to thank our supporters on Patreon. Let me bring up a Patreon. I mentioned that we have a new Patreon supporter. I didn't do the fancy new supporter screen because honestly, I forgot that I used to do that. But
I forgot I used to do that.
Siba is a new supporter on Patreon. We do appreciate you. He was actually
thank you, everyone.
Yeah, he actually started supporting us last week, but I didn't have enough time to get his name on the slide. Fun fact: of all the free PHP PHP Tech tickets we have to give away, they've to date have all been contributed to us by supporters on Patreon. I'm not going to tell you who, but I might tell you who one of them are because I think they said that we could, but I'll let you know who they are when we actually get to them. And yeah, so so not only are they supporting us, not only are they making things better for us in the show, which again benefits you. Let's be real. You benefit from that, but they're reaching out directly to the PHPUgly community and saying, "Hey, we're gonna benefit you guys a little bit as well." So thank you. You know who you are. Yeah, I don't.
Looking forward to next week when we get to give away one of those tickets.
I'm so excited. We talked about it before the show today, and we were trying to come up with. We've been rattling around the idea of how we want to give away the tickets for a while, but we hadn't really taken the time to talk about how we're going to do it. And so we kind of did that today. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. Let's talk about how we're going to do it. And I'm kind of really excited. Tune in next week. We can't give away too much. You'll understand next week why we didn't give you too much heads up. But it's going to be fun. You need to be here live. I mean, you don't have to be here live. Who knows? Maybe you'll go beyond the show. But ideally, we're going to give it away on the show. But you got to work for it, and you'll see.
Yep. It does take me back. If you've been following PHP Tech for any number of years, I started in 2010, so it was around 2012 they gave away a ticket, and it created so much buzz on Twitter at that point that it was just fun. It became a fun day where I'm working, but really I'm just paying attention to Twitter and trying to solve the riddle.
Do you remember what the riddle was?
So it started with what did they do? I remember it was for Power Squid. So it was around one of their sponsors that it was basically a 8-pronged like extension cord that actually comes in very handy at a conference if you.
Oh, it was a physical device. Oh, look at these things.
Yeah. And Keith Casey did like this little song where he recorded, and it was trying to find that information, like some way to get back to it. And I don't remember all the steps, but it was funny. Like I kept guessing around. I think it was around Simpsons characters. Like I was sending screenshots of stuff, and I was like, nope, that's not it. Nope, and it turns out it was a link on their website you're supposed to find where it had information. But so
that's
fun.
Another fun thing. If you haven't been to a PHP conference yet, ideally PHP Tech, but a lot of PHP conferences do this, you would be amazed to find out how many PHP developers can like belt out a tune, including our very own Ben Ramsey, who's in Discord. Ben Ramsey is like one of the normal ones you'll see up on karaoke night. Keith Casey is another one.
He's not at karaoke night, but A-Woods is. He'll be
A-Woods. A-Woods is there. A-Woods, A-Woods actually rocks, baby. Yeah, our very own Frank. I don't know if we've ever gotten Frank up on karaoke night. We need to do that this year. I am such a fan of Frank as a musician. I almost like I want to encourage him to like bring his guitar or something because he is just a crazy talented person. Yeah, Steve Grinwall. Yeah, that's another good one. Ben in Discord reminds us. Yeah, there's a lot. Karaoke night is a trip. It's an absolute blast.
So we do it during game night. I've always loved game night. We're just hanging out with people playing games, and then at some points we have the sound system there. We have the computer, everything hooked up, and we just fired it up, and people love it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. You won't ever catch me up there, but I mean,
Can we bring enough scotch to get you up there?
no, you cannot. You cannot. Yeah. Many people have asked me just to stop talking. I mean, that's how bad I am. But, all right.
Alrighty.
I think we're good. You good?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We need to queue up more PHP topics next week. People, feel free to suggest PHP stories, topics that you see through the week. Throw it in our Discord. Hit us up on any of the socials, Mastodon, Twitter, X, whatever. I'm trying to get into Blue Sky. I went over to Blue Sky. Somebody had given me access to Blue Sky, and I created an account and didn't do anything with it. And then I saw that I guess Blue Sky opened. Yeah, Blue Sky opened for everybody. I'm like, yeah, I think I have an account there. And so I logged in, and like there are so many PHP people on. If you have a Blue Sky account, John, hit me up on Blue Sky and look at the people I'm following. So here's a trick. If you get on a new social platform, Mastodon, Blue Sky, anything like that, find somebody in your community that you respect. Like just find that one person and then see who's following them and who they're following. And then do those, and as you recognize names, do the same thing with them. It's like a multi-level marketing thing, because before you know it, you've got like a good group of people you're following. And like Blue Sky and Mastodon, there is so many PHP people out there on those two platforms that it's crazy. It's just crazy. I'm not posting a lot to Blue Sky yet. I'm actually working on writing a little bot that will take my Mastodon post and post to Blue Sky, because I hate that. Like, I hate the automation of it. I feel like I'm cheating a little bit when I do that, but at the same time, I'm just not going to post to 3 socials the same thing. Like, if I can post to one social and have it propagate out, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out Blue Sky. And I don't even know what your name on Blue Sky is. I think it's Eric Van Johnson. I don't think I'm joking.
I just looked on there. I didn't see you there.
Yeah, I'm 100% not even sure what I am on Blue Sky. Let me go take a peek here real fast. Blue Sky, Blue Sky.
That is you. You're right. All right, I'm following you.
Am I Eric Van Johnson or Chokum?
Nope, Eric Van Johnson.
There we go. Yeah. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, I don't even think I'm following you. Look at that. Now I'm following you. So yeah, I'm real happy with my curated list on Blue Sky. Like, I'm very protective on like following a lot of people, because it's so laser focused for me. It's an echo chamber. I understand. Like, it's all PHP people, but I'm very happy with it. So yeah, if you're on Blue Sky, look me up, Eric Van Johnson, and then look at who I'm following, and yeah, do that.
Ben is encouraging you to stay away from Blue Sky.
Oh, what's Ben saying? Stay away from Blue Sky. If our community leaves Mastodon for Blue Sky, we'll be... Oh God. Yeah, that's like Twitter saying that they'd shut down because too many people went to Blue Sky. phpc.social is the Mastodon handle for PHP developers. And I know, because I'm on the inner circle of that administrative team. Thank you, Mr. Ramsey. I do enjoy it. But I know you have got a very firm grip on people on that Mastodon account. Although I am curious, Ben, and obviously you don't have to answer now, but I think Blue Sky is in the Fediverse as well. Like, I know their naming convention is like the same, where you have to do the @username @Blue Sky whatever it is. I think it's a Fediverse thing, but I tried getting to it from the PHP arch.social account that we use, our Mastodon account, and I couldn't find my Blue Sky account, so I don't know how that works. I don't know enough about the Fediverse. That's where Ben is definitely a lot better. Had it not been for the commercial entity part of PHP Architect, I would totally be on phpc.social. I felt guilty having PHP Architect on phpc.social because it was like a commercial thing, and I don't know. I just didn't feel good about it, so I spun up our own Mastodon instance just so I didn't feel guilty about
Plus,
that.
you get to learn about it, right?
Yeah, that's not a great thing, John. I do not like managing that instance. Like every time I reboot, I'm biting my nails because it's a Ruby on Rails app and things have a tendency to go sideways. I tried to install Honey Badger on it, and that just totally borked our install. Of course, it didn't bork it until I tried to reboot the system, and then all of a sudden it hated me, and I'm like, oh, I had to pull Honey Badger out, and I just didn't care enough to figure out why. But yep, internal talks. Yeah, he's one of the yep. Things been all right. I think that is going to do it for episode 373 of the award-winning, because my mom bought me a trophy, podcast, PHP Ugly. Not architect. Not architect, not roundtable, ugly. I'm Eric.
And I'm John. Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP the Ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it, my words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it, you know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly, we ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
There we go. If this is your first time watching the stream and you're like, hey, they're back. Yeah, this is the after show. You don't get this on the audio stream, but you're watching live. Yeah. Well, yeah, there was that one time. But yeah. Welcome to the after show.
There are times where we're not talking, we're like doing something, but we keep recording. Why are they still on? Eric we use Trello to manage what we're going to talk about. And Eric had a card on there that I was really interested in. I wanted to know more about, but he never brought it up. And we've made it a rule: we don't bring each other's cards up on the show.
You could have messaged me. So I'm going to tell you why I didn't bring it up. This card was given to us, Ricardo, in our Discord. So again, great people. It was talking about how the web has these massive vulnerabilities. We can save it for next week as well, but the reason I didn't bring it up here, let me share.
Because the article is from 2011. It's 13 years old.
It's from 2011, and they're talking about PHP 5, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really think this is relevant anymore.
So I didn't look at the date of the article, and I'm like reading through, and I got down to that PHP 5 is fully vulnerable and PHP 4 is partially vulnerable. I'm like, why are we talking about this? And then I look up, I'm like, oh, now it makes more sense.
I did the same thing. I'm like, when was this written? Like, how bad of a journalist is this where they think this is relevant news? And I went up and I looked, I'm like, yeah, no, that's a little old. So I wonder what ever happened. And so I still thought about bringing it up because I wanted to, like, if we ran out of things to talk about, I was gonna like segue into, well, whatever became of this sort of conversation. Like, do we remember this? What were the biggest like exploits in the PHP community where it as a developer had you scrambling to fix? And then we just had other things to talk about. So I'm like, I'm not even gonna bother.
Yeah.
But we can save that as a topic for next week, maybe talking about that, because I can't. I mean, I know there were a couple of 0-day exploits of WordPress that had us when I was in the enterprise, that had us moving pretty quick. But yeah, fun stuff, man. It's always so much fun being a developer.
No, my big issues have always been around my own stuff, like my own code that was exploited.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling us one of those stories. Yeah.
I mean, what if you don't use version control? It's very easy to just leave files laying around that you forget
All the
about.
time.
And it's like,
that was version control back in our day.
Yeah. I used to link to that file, but I took the link off the site, so it's no longer in use, not reachable, right? No, still reachable.
You know what? You know what's even worse is this was when I was very green as a developer. I used to do that, and you call it your .old or whatever the date was, and I used to put that at the end after the .php. I would do .old or whatever, and I realized years later that if somebody stumbled upon it, it puked out the code, including at that time all the database connections. Yeah, all the database connections and stuff. And I'm like, oh my god. I remember when I was learning PHP. So I was in sysops before, and I've explained this story in the past, but I'll rehash it here one more time. I was working on some stuff. I'd done development for a very long time, but all these like other languages, and I was working on some stuff. Somebody had suggested that I needed a MySQL relational database because I was using Access and all this other stuff. And I went looking for like an adult learning center that taught MySQL, and it was all PHP MySQL. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what PHP is, but I'll check it out. So I understood system administration. I was perfectly comfortable at the command line. I had no issues with any of that. And this guy, I think he was the guy who was teaching us PHP was like hosting the sites on his like home server or whatever it was, and creating accounts for everybody to log in and do their stuff. And so we're learning PHP, and we got to the point where you had to SSH into the machine to do some stuff. And I did that, and because I understood Linux and I understood the file structure of Linux, I'm like, okay, well, he just has me in my home directory. So like if I back out a directory, what happens? I was able to back out and I could see everybody else's accounts. I'm like, okay, so if I just go into this guy's directory, can I see his credentials, for his database and stuff? And yeah, I could. And I remember showing the guy, the instructor at the time, and he wasn't super happy with me for realizing that. But yeah, it was a different world back then, man. I mean, security was an afterthought at best, if you even thought about it then. Yeah, things are crazy.
I remember before I understood any sort of system administration. I was just getting into Linux in my college, changing my permissions on my directory to 600 instead of 700. Like,
Uh-huh.
why can't I log in anymore? Like, what happened? And then you have to go find somebody, and then they have to explain, oh, because you did this. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Directories have to be executable.
That was one of the biggest mistakes I made as an administrator. Of course, we've all done the RM, RF /. I think that's like, you're not a Linux administrator until you've done that at least once in your life. So I've done that. But the one thing I kept tripping up on, and I did it a couple times, is was it the authorized key file for SSH? I think that's what it was. Like, I'm having a hard time remembering, but I think it was the authorized keys file for SSH. I would bork that file on my system, and the issue about it is, like, you're already logged into the system. You add your key, or you add a key to it, because this was back when, like, all the administrators shared the account, right? So
Right.
everybody put their SSH key, and you'd add the key to it, and you'd fuck it up, and all of a sudden nobody could SSH to the machine anymore. Like, once you logged out, nobody else would be able to SSH to the machine. And yeah, so for years, like, I would not close that terminal session until I went over to another system and logged in again and said, okay, everything's still working. All right, cool. And then close it.
Definitely made that mistake.
Man, say, I'm going to the data center. Be back.
Oh, the good old days.
The good old days. Yep. Now we pay people to make those mistakes for us. Nice.
And to go in and fix them for us too.
I didn't see any tile suggestions come in. People, what the hell? Did I just miss them, or?
No, there weren't any.
Oh, you know what else didn't happen? And I'm going to let everybody know this ahead of time. The Trello cards didn't post to Discord because that bot didn't realize that we were starting at 12 o'clock today. I don't have that bot running all the time because I don't want to move the cards around and accidentally start, posting to Discord. So I have it start up before the show and then shut back down. So I don't know, in about another hour and a half, Discord's going to get flooded with tickets. So yeah, looking forward to that. You guys in Discord will appreciate all the links. Will be hitting Discord in about an hour and a half. Dude,
why? Because your system's back up, or you still have to log into it to get it started back up?
No. So that's even funnier. That bot runs on one of our servers, and I don't know which one it runs.
It's funny because it's true.
No, yeah, it's absolutely true. I have to go every time. I have to go hunt it down and find out where the hell that bot's running. So yeah, that's why. I think the last time, I had to have done it recently because I changed it to the 3 o'clock time. So yeah, I keep saying I'm going to make a note of it, and I'm like, I won't need to know this again for a while. It's always fun.
It gives me something to do for an hour as I'm searching through every server.
And what's worse is, like, and this is all on me. I am such a clutter person. Like, there was a while, especially when we first started up Diego Dev, and PHP, new versions of PHP were getting released like constantly, that I would deploy, like, we'd have apps running on a server somewhere. A new version of PHP would come out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to spin up another one with this new version and migrate everything over. And, like, not everything would migrate because not everything would work. And some things would migrate, but I would not take it off the old system. And so, like, things would be on like 2 or 3 systems, but only one of them is actually running. And yeah, we've got to go through and do an audit of our environment and just clean stuff up. We've got so much just kind of out there.
I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often, but I just got paged for an issue.
Oh, okay.
The hard part with being on call on a Thursday.
You got to drop off?
I think so. Might have to go join a Zoom room to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have a work day to finish off today as well. I've
Yeah.
got a few things I'm trying to knock out, so I'm perfectly fine.
Sounds good. Alrighty.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks everybody
everyone.
for hanging out. Join us next week if you want a free ticket to tech. It's just a ticket, though. You still got to get there and find a bridge to sleep under, but we'll get you in the conference. So
There's still a few rooms left, so
there's a couple left, maybe.
yeah.
Who knows by next week? We'll see.
Yep.
Maybe you can reserve your room today if you're confident you're going to win. Bye.